Greetings everyone, and welcome once again to TFT, Tarot for Today, Divine Dabblings with Oberon and Banshee. And I'm Oberon here with my weekly show, The Oberon's Outlook on the Emotional Exchanges, which is my weekly tarot forecast for all the signs as sorted through their elemental associations. We go through the air signs, the fire signs, and so forth. And we try to give you some ideas about what's happening in your emotional spheres, what kind of happiness you're having, or how are others around you feeling, things like that. So we start off by doing a short collective reading for everyone. And for that, I use what is known as the Isis Tarot, the thing that's not really a tarot, more like an oracle. So I'm just going to grab a card out of that. And this reading is good for today, and that's June 18th until next Thursday, which is the 24th. So, our short collective reading from the Isis Tarot, and we have the Harvest, upright, number 31. So, what is the Harvest? Hopefully it's something good for us, emotionally speaking. All right. Well, it talks about summer, so that's interesting because we're just days before the summer solstice. Just a reminder to watch our special summer solstice special, which will be on in a couple days. Somebody with a caring character, hardworking, diligent, ambitious, loves nature a lot, a radiant mind. So this is all of us. We are all gravitating towards the heat of the summer, the sunlight eclipsing, moving away from us, but rejoicing in that moment of celebration and that heat, that high point of the sun. We have achieved something through our hardworking and careful manner. A period of material prosperity and success in our work. Very good, summertime. So that's it from the collective thought from the Isis Tarot. So we're going to go right on into our reading, and we start with the air signs of the Zodiac. And air signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. So this one's for you. So we give you a focus card from another deck, the Eglipticos Tarot, which I pre-shuffled, but I'm just going to give one more little riffle through, see how that works for us. All right, air signs, your focus word is resurrection. So I think that in your emotional sphere, maybe something really changes for you, I think, this week, some of you air signs. Maybe it's dramatic, maybe it's not so dramatic, but it's mostly about really taking a renewed interest, I think, in the affairs of the heart, in the affairs of love. It may be that it has a more spiritual quality for some of you, but in general, I think what it would be saying is that our interest and our participation in our emotional heart in all manners, whether it's about loving somebody physically, platonically, universally, unconditionally, or just applying the principles of goodness and loyalty and caring. This is happening. This is what you should keep in mind. This is a week of beginnings in that regard. So let's move on now to our next part of the reading, and we have the Ancient Egypt Tarot by Clive Barker for the balance of this reading. Just going to go ahead and shuffle those. Also was pre-shuffled, but never hurts to throw it out there. Okay, so first up, What emotional happiness will the air signs find this week? Ten of Swords. You are finding the end of a long, possible, strifeful time or situation. You are finding the end maybe of a situation where you felt no way out. This is on that romantic or emotional sphere, of course. It may be there was a toxic kind of relationship, and now you are finding the end there. The end maybe had pain, but the best part is that you know there's a light there that's leading you beyond this. So I think that's okay. Now, what is your challenge? What is surprising to the air signs in all of this? And it's the Seven of Wands, and it's upright. And I think the challenge is that you still have work to do here in this regard, but you are able, or you need to put yourself as holding your own, as being able to withstand maybe forces against you. And in this particular display, it's a woman who is engaging with a man at a cliff, and she's the one who's in peril. She's the one who has to hold her own against a stronger force. In other decks, it usually shows somebody standing above people, indicating their strength in a situation. And here, the idea maybe is it truly is a challenge. It truly is a challenge to hold your own in this emotional sphere here. So then how does this affect the others around you, whether they're involved in that situation or just they're in your emotional landscape, in your heart? And it's the Four of Cups upright. I'm glad you got upright cards and that they're mostly, able to work better. Ten of Swords reversed is not better, so just going to say that there. But the Four of Cups, what is concerning to those around you, those you care about? Well, maybe they haven't quite figured out where they're at in the situation or what course they're going to take. Maybe they are looking at all the possibilities, all the options or choices that they have. And so theirs is still a game of trying to learn and trying to move beyond that. But right now they're in that pattern. So I'm going to sum that up real quick again. The first card, the Resurrection, seems to suggest that we're having to renew ourselves or rekindle our interest in love and emotional things. And maybe it's because of what's going on here in this week. We see maybe the end of toxic or bad relationships. We see ourselves looking towards the light that leads us beyond them. It's challenging, but we still have to find a way to hold our own, even against maybe possibly superior, more defiant forces against us. And those around us are still looking for ways to understand it or ways to figure out what their next move is going to be. All right, air signs. That's what I had for you. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. And we are now going to move on to the fire signs. Fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. And their focus from the Eclipticos Tarot is advice. And I don't know, maybe fire signs, if you have friends with the air signs, maybe this will be about that. You'll be helping out your friend air signs by giving them advice. But it may also be saying, too, that from the emotional point of view, you have to give and receive advice, perhaps, or it's one or the other, that maybe you're helping others understand where you're at emotionally, whether you care for them or how you care for them. Or maybe they're doing that with you. Maybe they're telling you what they think you need to know in order to handle yourself in your emotional, romantic, possible relationships and situations. So keep your ears open. Now, moving on then to the rest of that reading. And I'm just going to remind you briefly to watch my wife, my love, Banshee, and her material matters on Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. It's more of the material look at life, your financial keys to success in business, education, networking, and other things. So check that out. Sundays at 10 a.m. And we are live in the chat room for that. One last riffle here for the fire signs. Alrighty. So, what brings the fire signs emotional happiness this week? And it's the Empress reversed. And I think the emotional happiness comes when we realize that we don't have to be super mom, super dad, super husband or wife, super whatever it is. We have what we need. We are okay with taking maybe a slower approach to bringing forth beauty in our lives, to bringing forth works of art, works of intelligence, whatever they are. If you're a creative person, it's okay if you're having a little bit of a slow period. Maybe it's time to take stock, with the summer coming, where you really stand with things. And before you make a full commitment, just take the balance of that. And that's, I think, what's going to make you happy, is that you're able to realize you don't have to be in a frenzy. Okay? So then what will be challenging to you? It could be that in matters of love or relationships, the fire signs will have to maybe make some decisions, or maybe have to come to terms with understanding different factions, different people's interests in love or relationships. Maybe somebody you really care for has a very different view of some other things that don't relate to you emotionally, but maybe you need to understand that, or you need to understand each other and understand that sometimes people do have very conflicting values. And I realize a lot of times we're moving to a society that's saying, oh, well, I just can't abide that and I'm going to cancel that. But you know what? It's better to try to bring people towards your point of view. We shouldn't shout at each other all the time. We should try to use compassion, mercy, and justice to figure it out. Easier said than done. I get it. You choose your battles where you can. Truly, there are some people that maybe you cannot change with your values. You may have to accept that, but you can act accordingly from then on. Now, finally, and I'm off the soapbox, sorry about that. What for the air signs will concern those that they love or care about? And we have our friend again, the Ten of Swords, only this time it's not a friend and it's reversed. And I'm thinking that the Ten of Swords reversed is saying that some of our loved ones have also gone through some of the big struggles that maybe we saw with air signs in terms of toxic relationships or toxic situations where emotional collateral damage was happening in some way. And for them, though, it's harder for them to see where the light is coming from. It's harder for them to see how they're going to change, repair, heal themselves. It may in fact be that maybe it's nearly impossible. And so I want you, fire signs, to be aware of that other people may really need you to care right now. Even if you can't really help them, be there for them. Be there to share space with them. So summing it up again, oh gee, it's the advice thing, eh? It now makes more sense. But I think from the emotional point of view, you fire signs really need to kind of give a very sympathetic, compassionate shoulder to people in relationships, in situations where maybe there's hurt. It may be that you're happy because you can understand the flow of things and you understand you don't have to be in a frenzy at this time, that you can take your time to nurture things, take your time to create what it is to make things have order and beauty for you. But You are challenged by the idea that there are some turbulent times around you and that maybe certain decisions have to be made. Maybe it is about, in fact, the idea that there are these toxic relationships around you and others are struggling, and you, advice, justice, you're going to need to be there maybe for emotional support, but on that level-headed kind of thing, a fire sign kind of thing, or an air sign kind of thing, even just the idea that you're applying less of the emotional judgment there. You're just supplying support and rationality. Fire signs can do that. I know they can. So that's what I have for the fire signs this week. Thank you. Time for another sip of coffee. And earlier today, the lawnmower crew was out there in the yards, and I thought for sure I was going to have to wait a long time, but it seems to have gone away. I'm not always sure that my filter can filter out that kind of background noise. But all is better now. So now we're going to move on to the water signs. And like me, water signs are either Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces, and we tend to be a little bit more on that emotional brink of all the signs in a way. But we have our own focus or word of the week, and of course it's so scorpionic, but in some ways it fits all the water signs and fits other signs too. But we have transformation. It's literally Major Arcana number 21. So the idea here is really about you finding ways to really change yourself in terms of your approach to emotions and love. Maybe you're about to have an epiphany about who or how you love. I mean, it's not unusual for people to suddenly realize something's different, that they might have been on a fence about some particular aspect of love or how they love. Maybe they were on an aspect about how they understood the trans, gay, lesbian, bisexual people in their lives, and maybe they were giving lip service to it, but now, maybe because it's Pride Month, I don't know, maybe people have really begun to understand, that love is love, period. So whatever that is, go with it. That's your word of the week. We're going to go on to the rest of the reading now. Whatever blows your skirt up, as they used to say when I was much younger. One more riffle for the guy. All right. Water signs. What will be emotionally happy or pleasant for you? What will make you feel good this week? Bingo, you hit the jackpot. Water signs, I think, are going to feel the sense and fulfillment of family. Water signs, however you see that, whether it's your biological family or your family of choice and intent, you are feeling the solidarity, the love, the care, the support that you alone can feel from those who truly love you, warts and all, whatever it is, unconditional. They're there for you. This is a great time in the summer as we approach the summer solstice to feel that the family of humankind is there for you in one form or the other, whether it's very personal or whether it's a little bit larger. Namaste. Now, what will be challenging to water signs? It's the Princess of Swords reversed. And I think that tells us that we may be called upon to decide certain things emotionally. So we have the Princess of Swords, which is like the Page of Swords. And this is where our challenges lie. And I think this is saying that in matters of love and affection, we have to try to be a little bit more graceful, that maybe, this sounds a little Scorpio, but, keep out the snark when we're trying to advance conversations or create new friendships or relationships. That not being a clod, not saying uncalled for things, learning that dance that you need to have maybe when you're kind of breaking out with new people, new situations. And then finally, it's the Seven of Cups. And that's in the position of what concerns those around us. So then moving to our challenges with the Princess of Swords, just reminding us that we have to endeavor to say the right things at the right time, to not purposely hurt other people's feelings. The dances of the summer is nearly upon us, so brush up on your dance steps. And then finally, those around us are feeling really drawn to number choices, and they may not exactly know for sure what the best choice is. There's a lot of emotionality here. I get the feeling like it's younger people. Maybe they're looking for limitations, but maybe they're just looking for variety too, in a way. Ultimately, they will choose one way. So that's what I have for the water signs. And now finally, we're going to move on to our friends, the earth signs. Earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. And they have a word of the week: testimony, testify. So I'm going to say that this says that for the earth guys amongst us, we will be looking at presenting ourselves truthfully as if we were really testifying, that we want to enact basically best practices, and that we want to be as truthful as possible. We want to advise others to be truthful, especially when it comes to emotions. So maybe earth signs really have to say what they really feel about certain people. Maybe it's about being truthful about their relations with certain people. And all I can say is, of course, there's no reason to be a Scorpio and be rude about it. So try to frame, thoughts in really what would be a fair, equal, equivalent kind of basis. So let's get on with the rest of the reading then. And I think Mr. O really needed that coffee today. He's had a little bit of start up and stop here. So I'm going to take a sip now and see if it helps. Okay, one last flippy. Oh, I don't like that. Earth signs, what will give you happiness? What will make you feel comfortable, etc., appreciated? What is floating your boat? And it's the reverse Three of Cups, so it's not overall very bad. It may be saying too that the celebration is not stellar, but there is some sort of celebration going on here. Maybe it's just the idea that some things can happen. Maybe they just happen a little bit quieter for some of us. Earth signs tend to maybe sometimes be more reserved. They don't necessarily need to have everybody know everything about them. I won't say who does like that. But I think earth signs are celebrating. Maybe it's a marriage or a wedding. Maybe it's a bonding. But they're celebrating. They're feeling happy because they know others are happy. So what is challenging for the earth signs? And it's the Magician reversed. And so the challenges for the earth signs, I think, is that they sort of feel like maybe when it comes to the emotional matters in their lives, who they love, how they express their love, they sort of feel like they're a little bit out of the picture there. They don't sort of feel they have all the tools that they would like to have to kind of pull that along. They sort of feel like, just intuition here, that maybe they're coming up with somebody who they feel outclasses them in a certain way, and they don't feel they have all of that specialness of a magician, to really make an impact there. So I'm thinking this could be more specific to certain persons that we want to really get to know better, to maybe start a relationship with, or maybe we're really trying to impress them in certain ways. We're trying to show them our magic, but we're sort of feeling a little bit like their magic is greater. So hopefully we can cope with that. I know that's a little silly, but that's what I feel there. And then the final card, what will concern those around us that we care about the most? And it's the Prince of Wands. And so the Prince of Wands is kind of like, or is more or less the Knight of Wands in a standard deck. And so I think what concerns us is these folks, what concerns these folks is they're seeing some movement and some challenges, and maybe like I've seen elsewhere in this reading, they're probably not maybe young folks, but maybe they're moving into their 20s, they're moving towards, their 30s, and they're wanting to challenge themselves, they're wanting to challenge the world. They're looking at networks, they're looking at creation of longer term friendships or situations that will give them camaraderie and foundation. And I'm thinking that those around us, love and emotional relationships are good, but maybe these are the folks who are really wanting to be better friends with more people. They're really wanting to create a bigger sense of friendship and networking. So it's kind of interesting. I hope we can go with that. I'm sure it's always good to have more friends, and I appreciate the fact that maybe more of our younger people are maturing to that point. I sort of see this as a maturation in a way, that we have to learn how to come together, everybody. This is what the world is now, is we have to learn how to come together. So I'm going to sum that up again. This is the week to tell the truth about how you feel and what that means to others. And I think we're also really happy that maybe we finally realize other people are getting their love together, are celebrating that, and we're included in that. We may be challenged because we're hoping to make better impressions in our romantic sphere, but maybe we're kind of bedazzled by somebody else's greater proficiency there. Excuse me, need more coffee. And finally, those around us, I think they're moving forward with creating a larger sphere of friendships and of creating more networking and extending more trust to everyone. So I don't know exactly how that pays off, but emotionally speaking, it sounds to me like, it's really a part of what this reading is about, is the world of human, reaching out and taking everyone's hand. So I think it's a beautiful thing. I hope you do too. And I hope you liked watching my outlook on the emotional exchanges. I'll be here next Friday. Don't forget to watch Banshee on Sunday. Material Matters at 10 a.m. Also, the monthly modality message is coming out that day too, probably around 6 o'clock. I'm not sure when we're timing that one. And guess what? Also, we're doing our summer solstice special. And this will have a unique little ceremony that we've done before to celebrate the summer solstice. It involves the journey of the Fool as he goes around through the archetypes of the major arcana. So watch it. There will also be a special reading for the solstice in that video presentation too. So this is Oberon saying thanks again for coming. I'll see you next time.